Y'all know what's going on. It's time for another episode of Doing Time with Joe. I'm your host, Joe Baker. Look here, y'all. A lot of my stories, most of my stories have a very, very serious theme to them, right? And that's by design because I want you to understand, how violent this place can be, how depressing this place can be, how hopeless a person can find themselves in this situation, and all in hopes that I can deter you from wanting to participate and live this life. You know what I'm saying? That's my whole goal. Everybody knows that, and I hope that everybody understands that, right? But sometimes these stories in here, it's almost like unbelievable, and they're funny. And I've said in the past that, sometimes stupid is funny, but this is not a stupid story that I'm about to tell you. It's a funny story. But now, somebody did get beat up. Okay, so maybe that's not funny to the person that got beat up. But how that came about, listen to me, y'all. This dude got beat up for farting in the cell. Okay, so I guess I just got to put that out there. He got beat up for farting in the cell. Now, I'm finna break this story down to you, why it led to that. You know what I'm saying? And you might agree, you might disagree. I don't know. But think about that. He got beat up for doing something while he was asleep that he can't control. I'm sure everybody does it. Don't act like you don't do it. You know what I'm saying? Everybody does it. Or you've been your partner been sleeping, you've been awake, and you heard him farting in the middle of the night or whatever the case may be. Did you smack him in the face or did you beat him up? But in here you can get beat up for that. And I'm finna tell you this story about how that happened to somebody. Okay, so sit back, relax, and get your laugh on, y'all. Get your laugh on. It was these two guys, right? They was in the cell together, you know what I'm saying? And they had been cellies, not too long, right? Because one of the guys, the one that had the problem, the intestinal problem, he just got sent here, right? And he got put in the cell. When you get transferred to a place or get shipped to another place, you get put in the cell that has an available bunk. That's as simple as that. It's not about making sure that they can get along initially. You go where you can go. You feel what I'm saying? So he got put in the cell with a pretty laid back dude, but this dude didn't play. He didn't take no mess out of nobody, literally or figuratively. You understand what I'm trying to tell you? So, but he was a laid back dude, and it takes a lot to set this dude off. You feel what I'm saying? But anyway, this guy that got moved in the cell with him, he had intestinal problems, and he told his cellie that he had intestinal problems. He was going back and forth to the hospital for the treatments so they could take care of that, right? But he told him, he said, man, I got bad gas. You know what I'm saying? And his cellie was like, okay, we just turn on the fan. It is what it is. You can't be responsible for that because you're in your sleep when it happens, right? And he was like, yeah. And he said, now, if you happen to need to pass gas or something like that and you ain't sleep, what happens in here, y'all, you get up out of the bed and you go stand by the door. You know what I'm saying? Turn your back towards the door so that can go out the door. You feel what I'm saying? Now, I know you ain't got to deal with that on the town out there, whatever. You just let it come out real quiet and silent, and then you look around and see if anybody smells it. But in here, no, you need to, if you finna pass gas, whether it got them exhaust pipes on it or it's silent, you need to get up and get by that door. You know what I'm saying? Because it can cause problems that you don't want it. You literally don't want that smoke. You understand what I'm saying? You don't want that smoke. So check this out. This is what happened. So in the middle of the night, right, this dude, he's asleep. And sure enough, he's passing gas. But it's not every now and then. It's like long, drawn out, back to back. And the smell, listen to me. Dude described it to me. He said it smelled like old coal oil. You know what I'm saying? How oil smells after it's old and it's got a certain smell to it, like acid smell. That's what it smelled like. And he said, man, you can't even breathe. He said it'll hit you. He said it creeps up on you and it'll hit you and it'll take your breath away. And before you know it, you tried to get somewhere. He said your eyes will start watering and everything. And I'm like, dang, I said, what he got in him? I'm trying to understand, is it something inside of his body that's causing this and all this? He's like, man, quit trying to be funny, Joe T. And I was trying to be funny. I was trying to poke him and see, how far he gonna go with this thing, right? So he said, man, I can't take it, man. He said, I'm gonna have to ask dude to move out. I said, so you're gonna go out there to the UM, right? That's the unit manager, y'all. You're gonna ask the unit manager to move dude out of the cell because you can't deal with dude passing gas in the middle of the night. He's like, Joe T, If it was you and you smelled what I smelled, he said, man, you tell him to get up out of there too. It's simple as that, right? So he go out there to the UM, right, and ask the UM could he move him out of the cell. So the UM told him, he said, nah, man. He said, man, everybody pass gas. You can't help that, man. I'm not finna move that man for that, man. He said, y'all get along other than that. He was like, yeah, dude, straight, this, and that. He said, but I can't deal with that. He said, nah, I ain't gonna be able to do that, man. He said, let me talk to him if he wants to move, but other than that, man, nah, I'm not finna move that man for that. You feel what I'm saying? He can't help that. So the UM talks to the guy. The guy tells him, man, I'm sorry. I don't mean to cause no trouble or nothing like that. He said, but I'm going back and forth to the hospital trying to get treated for this thing, right? Trying so they can take care of me. He's like, we understand. He said, but are you comfortable where you at? You don't feel threatened? You don't feel... He's like, no, me and dude get along. He said, man, I'll try to talk to him, man, and see, you know what I'm saying, if we can get past this, right? I got to figure out something, you know what I mean? Maybe we can get some air fresheners or something like that to help y'all out. That's what the UM told him. He said, okay, cool. I'm going back and I'm going to holler at dude. So he goes back to the cell and he hollers at dude. And dude's like, look, man, I ain't trying to be disrespectful to you in no way, shape, or form. He said, man, but I ain't never smelled nothing like what I smelled last night when you passed gas. And he said, then another thing, he said, when you passing gas, he said, it's not no short one like, he said, they long to go like that, right? And I'm like, dang. Just keep on going. It's like something is trying to get up out of him or something. And I'm like, dang. And I said, well, I don't know what to tell you. So he's hollering at the dude, and the dude said, look, what I do, man, he said, this is what you do. Wake me up. If I pass gas, he said, wake me up, and then I'll get by the door or whatever the case may be. He said, until you go to sleep, until you fall asleep, if I pass gas, you hear me? He said, wake me up. He said, okay, I'll do that. So in the middle of the night, again, dude goes to sleep before his cellie. He started passing gas. So his cellie gets up, and he's, it ain't that much space between, the bunks, right? The bunks are just side by side, but there's some space in between. So he gets up, and he's walking over there. It's like 3 or 4 steps, not that much. And it's 1 or 2 steps if you're a tall person, right? But he walks over there to try to wake dude up. And you got to be careful when you wake somebody up in the penitentiary because you never know what they've been through. So you say, cellie, cellie, cellie. So he turns over. He said, man, you passing gas, man. And he said, while he was talking to dude, he said, you passing, he said, the smell, he said, it went in his mouth. He said, oh my God. The smell went in his mouth. And he said, it smelled straight like boo-boo, Joe T. I said, for real? He said, man, look here, it about choked me out. I said, for real? He was like, yeah. He said, man, I don't know what's wrong with dude. He said, man, something's wrong with dude's intelligence. Something is dead inside of him, right? I'm like, oh, man. I said, but he don't mean it, right? He said, yeah, I know, but I can't take it, man. So dude wakes up, he goes by the door, and he stands there as long as he can until he was, just exhausted. Then he gets back into bed. You feel what I'm saying? And by now, his cellie has gone to sleep. So, now he goes to sleep, everything's fine. The next morning, they get up, and he was like, man, I hope it wasn't, too bad last night. He said, now, once I went to sleep, man, it really didn't bother me. You know what I'm saying? Because he sleeps under the covers anyway, right? So everything was straight for that moment. So everything cool for the next 2 or 3 days. That's what they keep doing. He keeps waking him up so he can get on the door, pass gas, and get back into bed. And usually by then, his cellie's gone to sleep. But now it's starting to worse his cellie out, the one that's got the gas problem. It's starting to make him tired or whatever the case may be. So he's getting frustrated. His cellie's getting frustrated because he don't want to get up and stand by the door that long. He's getting up out of the bed and then getting right back into bed. And then he started passing gas. Now it's causing friction. You know what I'm saying? With them two. They're getting mad at each other because he's tired and the other one is sick of the smell. So here we go. So this particular night here, his cellie's in the bed. The cellie that got the gas problem, he started passing gas. Now the police walking by. And I'm going to tell y'all something, y'all. When he told me this, I couldn't believe this because the cell is pretty big. It's pretty big. It's about the size of a walk-in closet. A nice, decent walk-in closet, what you might see what celebrities have when they got all their shoes and stuff in there. It's about that big, not the big kind where you can have a couch in there. I ain't talking about that. I'm talking about a modest-sized walk-in closet. You know what I'm saying? It's got a room for 2 beds, a sink, and a toilet, okay? Not something super-duper big. We're not living in luxury in here, right? So anyway, this officer is walking by the cell, and look here. The officer smelled it coming out the door while he was doing count. And he kept walking. You feel what I'm saying? And the next morning, because they're still here, third shift is still here when we first get up, right? So when both of them wake up, they happen to be going down by the desk getting ready to go to chow. The officer called both of them over to the cell. He said, man, what y'all got going on up in that cell? Because you got to remember, think about it now. In the penitentiary, you got a lot of stuff going on up in here. A lot of guys having sex with each other at night and all that old kind of stuff. So the officer said, what y'all got going on up in there? Because he said, that cell smells straight like boo-boo last night. So the one seller that don't have a gas problem, he looked at the other seller and said, man, you tell him, man, I'm not going to tell you business like that, right? So he looked at the he said, officer, I got a gas problem. I'm going back and forth to the doctor. Something wrong with my intestines. They're working on it. So the officer don't believe that. He leaned back in the chair. He said, look here, I'm not finna be playing with y'all. There better not be nothing going on up in that cell. He said, when I came back, both of y'all was asleep. But he said, this whole cell that was coming up out that door. He said, when I leaned on that door, he said, I thought I was right in the middle of something. You know what I'm saying? So anyway, the officer, he's concerned about it. So he said something to the UM. We might need to watch these guys because I walked by that cell and it smells straight like boo-boo. So the unit manager told him the same thing that the inmate had told him about his intestinal problem. So the officer was like, oh, okay, he was telling me the truth. And so the UM said, yeah, you know, he is going back and forth. He's getting treatment for that now, right? Something's wrong with his intestines. You know what I mean? So here we go. The next couple of nights, it's getting too intense for his cellar. So dude passed gas, so he wake him up. He said, look here, man, it's something got to give, man. He said, I can't take no more of this. So he told him, he said, man, can you put on a diaper or something like that so that it'll absorb it and all this and that? He said, man, I'm not finna wear no diaper. He said, I'm not finna do that, man. You know, you got to keep in mind, this dude is in his 30s, you know what I'm saying? So he ain't feeling none of that. So dude, he tell him, I ain't wearing no diaper, man. So the dude was like, man, you got to do something. You need to go down there tomorrow, man, and tell them folks, man, that you want to move out. Because they ain't going to move you out based on what I'm saying, but you got to let them know you want to move out. He said, because other than that, man, me and you finna have some problems. Now, you can keep in mind what I told you. When he first moved in, this dude that I'm talking about is the most laid-back, mild-mannered dude that you could ever meet. He can put up with almost anything. But this smell was running him crazy. It was running him crazy because he couldn't sleep. And you know what I'm saying? Unless he fell asleep first. And imagine that somebody's passing gas to the point that it's so funky that you can't even go to sleep. And that's what was happening with dude. So anyway, dude went down and he told the UM, he said, man, can you get me moved up out of here? And he told him, ain't no bunks open right now. You're going to have to stay in there for a while. So he went back and told his celly, he said, man, when the bunk come over, they're going to move me up out of here, right? So, but now the word is spreading around the pod. Man, dude, funky. It's hard to deal with. This is hard to deal with. So that night, when they was in the cell, dude mad because he's having to move. The other dude, you know what I'm saying, he's laying there. They really don't trust each other no more. So he just falls asleep. And he started passing gas. A dude jump up in the middle of the night and put hands on him. He said, man, you getting up out of here. You getting up out of here tonight. I can't take no more. He putting hands on him. So the officer come by and he's hollering, stop it, stop it. And then he hit the panic button and then other officers come in there and they put handcuffs on both of them and they take both of them to the hole because they were fighting. And they found out why they were fighting. And when they was in the hole, dude that put hands on him, right, because it was so funky, he told him, he said, man, look, I would rather be in the hole than be in a cell with him. He said, because, man, dude passing gas, he said, you can't sleep, you can't breathe, man. He said, I'd rather be in the hole. Y'all leave me in the hole until y'all figure out what y'all gonna do with him, right? I just wanted to drop that on y'all, right? You know what I'm saying? Because even if you passing gas in the cell, you can get hands put on you up in here, right? This has been another episode of Doing Time with Joe. I'm your host, Joe Baker, and I say peace, y'all.